a good intro was that one that counted down, had the music, it was like 10, 9. That was pretty good, right? Yeah. Might have to come back to that. That was good times. Speaking of good times, let's roll, baby. Hey, welcome to the Closing Beat, everybody. Happy Wednesday. How you doing? It's good, right? It's hump day. That's right. Mike. You know. Anyways, welcome to our show here. We are financial advisors. Look, we just like to be normal people. No suit and ties. We don't do that thing. If you want to join us, you can, jazzwealth.com. We focus on retirement accounts, long-term accounts, Roth IRAs, manage your 401ks and everything. And we're just one of those that, no strings attached. I hate the strings. No catches, no gotchas, no games being played. Just come hang out. We'll show you how we do things, and thank you for keeping us in mind. You can also join our Wine and Wealth classes. This week's Wine and Wealth class, tomorrow actually, will be how do mutual fund managers buy positions? How do they buy a dip in the market? Because we manage our own funds here. That's my background actually. So I'm going to show you how we look at things. How do we make decisions? Because we're about to make some decisions. So I want to be able to cover that for you. That'll be tomorrow at 8 o'clock there. Anyways, let's take a look at the stock market here today because we have... It was a wild day, and it's not new. Think about it this way. You look back to last year, and remember how the market was just like up, a little down, then back up again, and it was real quiet. The days ranges, if I go over here and take a look, the days ranges were very small. Occasional big days, and people would say, that's the end. But the volatility of each day was very, very calm. And so this happened throughout the whole year and everything, right? We had one little decent pullback here, but other than that, it was pretty quiet. We come into this year and look at the scope of the range of each day, whether it finished positive or negative, wide ranges there. So that's what we're dealing with. And a day like today would normally stand out as, holy cow, that is a volatile day. But you're used to wild movements now, are you not? So since the beginning of the year, you're used to this back and forth and this wild craziness. So a day like today in the S&P finishes up positive just a little bit there. It's like, okay, that was a wild ride, but I wasn't really scared. Notice how the market sucks you into that? What's going to happen next? All of a sudden, we're going to go into the summertime, and the market's going to compress again. Summertime is known as the summer doldrums. It gets kind of quiet. You all are spending your money on vacations and stuff, and so the market compresses. And it lulls you into this calm, quiet sleepiness. And then all of a sudden we come out of kids going back to school in August and bam, now you got wild action again. And we're going to have the midterm elections too. So it's going to be really, really exciting. Anyways, we talked about this yesterday. The stock market falling, the S&P falling over 5% with 3 days left to go. The NASDAQ falling over 10% with less than 3 days to go. And we said, well, historically, those 3 days at the end of that month tend to be quite positive. And we saw that for the majority of the day. The NASDAQ sold off right there towards the end of the day, middle to the end of the day, because people didn't want to be in Facebook. They didn't want to be in Qualcomm. They didn't want to deal with earnings. And it turns out there was nothing to worry about because the earnings came out pretty good. So we'll start with the S&P here. We're down 12% year to date thanks to technology stocks. That's nothing new. You've heard that before. And communication services. That big move today was brought to you by Alphabet, which had a pretty nasty move on earnings there. And some of the others that have been dragging us down overall. But those are the worst sectors year to date. Tech sector and communication services, which is like you could say communication tech because it's kind of weird how they came up with that. Anyways, tomorrow during the day and after hours, is the biggest day for earnings in terms of the size of companies reporting. Tomorrow we'll have the biggest market cap report. So it's going to be an actionable day, something you want to keep an eye on for sure. Now, one thing to point out, Tesla attempted a little bit of a rebound today. Didn't get much done, and that's actually very normal. This yesterday was the 24th loss in its history of being down in one day greater than 10%. So losing double digits in one day has happened 23 other times there. And to show you, let's go... In our research site, you could actually use this. If you're a research member or a client, you can pull all this up for free. Before we started, I did a rolling search of Tesla losing more than 10% in one day, looking back 30 years. So the idea here is we're trying to see how often does Tesla lose more than 10% in one day, and 30 years is I just picked a large number to make sure we got everything. It hasn't been around for 30 years. Anyways, you can see over here, it's happened 24 times in 30 years. The average next day bounce is about 3%. The median bounce is 2.05. It was there at one point, almost, but it's typically not a guaranteed profit on the next day. Well, most of you don't look day by day, right? You're investors and maybe looking a little bit further. So if we take that data and we say we don't need to know one day, let's look a week out, let's look a month out, let's look 3 months out, 6 months out, and 1 year. Well, when Tesla has a double-digit down day, what do we have? Here's the summary of the data up above. 1 week later, the average gain is quite positive, more than half the time, but not super impressive. 1 month later, which is more realistic for people that like to buy big dips in Tesla, you got a very sizable recovery for the most part, but about the same stats. So you have the same odds of making a bigger return over time, but it's not foolproof, right? If you start going out 3, 6 months, and 1 year, now it's more impressive. Right? Those that want to buy the dip in Tesla, even if it continues to fall, you go, okay, well, this makes sense. Tesla tends to recover from these declines quite rapidly and almost quite aggressively. And keep in mind, it's not that old, so there's a lot of days in there that are really quite impressive days. And so that's what you have. That's the stats going forward there. If Tesla falls, this is the fun part here, actually, I'll show you. If Tesla falls 5% more, it's going to have to be 5.5%, right? So if Tesla falls 5.5% more, then on paper, Elon Musk would have lost more money than he just is, he's trying to spend for Twitter. It would be over $44 billion in total net worth for him that he would have lost there. So let's hope that doesn't happen, because I know a lot of people are cheering on the old Tesla Twitter purchase there. All right, next we have, let me go over here. Here's the NASDAQ coming up. There we go. So the NASDAQ basically finished flat on the day after being kind of wild. After hours, it's up over 1%. That's largely thanks to earnings reports that have come out. Chinese stocks had the best day overnight, like if you were to pretend they were open during our market as well. JD.com higher on the day. Pinduoduo, and Baidu were the best performers in the NASDAQ. Microsoft getting a little boost because of earnings there. That was nice to see something go up for earnings rather than what we've seen. T-Mobile, the same thing, earnings related. ADP was earnings related. Not bad. They see a strong jobs market there, and that's a good bellwether to try to get a feel for business in general, small business, small and mid-size. Lucid up 2%. I believe I think they got a big order from somebody. That could have been yesterday. I read that. Maybe wrong. Keurig Dr. Pepper trying to move outside of a range, and that's pretty much it for the really interesting performers for the day. Netflix was the weakest one, because why would Netflix go up anymore? That's just what it is. Facebook also down 3% on the day, but it doesn't matter because it's up like 20% after hours. It is at $200 plus. So tomorrow morning looking like it's going to open right here. Very impressive there for Facebook in terms of their earnings. And maybe we can now put all this behind us, that big drop that everybody's been involved in. Cisco down 3% as well. That makes new lows, and Match.com almost made new lows. I wanted to check just to see. Not quite there. Semiconductors, for the most part, were strong for the day. Throughout the day, they got a little bit wild because of NVIDIA. So if you're looking over here in NVIDIA, that made new lows, and Intel as well. But after hours, you got Qualcomm reporting earnings and getting a nice boost there. It'll open up around 140 tomorrow, which is about right there. There you go. So that's what's going on there. If we look around the different areas of the market, you got crude oil. I don't know what you do with that. I mean, I hope it drops. I know we all want lower oil prices, but it just refuses to budge much off of that $100 number. Gold had one of the more wild days for commodities out there, down about 1% or 20 points. And bonds actually moved higher. So after this little short bounce that you've seen there, they just got a little bit of a pullback. Very normal in the midst of putting in a bottom. I do want to point out the dollar. You could use the UUP if you want to check out the US dollar. That is strong at the moment. This is, in fact, right here, the longest winning streak that the dollar has had since 1970, right? It's up 5% just for the month of April, which starts right in there. So a really, really strong move for the dollar. And the bulk of the gains, as you could see right here, have basically come in the last 5 days. That can't sustain itself. It will not sustain itself. But being up 18 over the last 20 days is very impressive for the dollar. That's a very, very strong run there. All in all, you have a stock market at the moment that finds itself questioning whether this is the best spot to buy. Think about what happens here. Think about what the impact of a falling market has on people spending money, right? They say that, you know, the market responds to the economy in the future and we're pricing forward everything that happens. That's fine. I understand that. But imagine people that see their 401k statements for the whole year so far. They got the first quarter 401k statements and they're falling. What do you do? I've had so many people tell me, ugh, yeah, my 401k was this and now it's this. That's hard to watch. You change your spending habits, right? The stock market moving lower changes your spending habits. And to maybe make a little point, a friend of mine is the loan manager at a bank. It's a smaller bank, but he's a loan manager there. And I said, well, how are the phone calls? You getting a lot of people doing loans here lately? And he said, man, it was like a hurricane for a while. It was noisy. Stuff was everywhere. Phones were ringing. It was nonstop getting loans. And he goes, and now it's like we're in the eye of the hurricane. It is dead silence. Like everything has just come to a screeching halt. Well, think about that. That's like a lot of people saying, I don't know about the economy right now. I don't know about the stock market. Maybe, or I don't know about Bitcoin. I don't know about my gold position or whatever. Maybe I better hold tight and not spend a lot of money just in case. That trickles down. And that's something that we're going to be feeling here along the way. We will see. Okay, what else do we have here? New highs and lows for the day. There weren't many new highs. There were 3 new highs. I thought Church and Dwight was interesting because it's trying to break out of this cool little pattern right there. If I put my line on the chart, you can see it trying to break to new highs. Otherwise, very strong. Think about it. How did it spend the first part of the year? All right, a little bit lower, but mostly rallying. How did the stock market spend the first part of the year? Well, straight down, right? So this is showing extra strength for some reason ahead of it. It's a consumer staple stock, so you can kind of understand why they've been pretty strong. Facebook, that did make new lows, but that's not going to matter because tomorrow, like I said, it's going to open around $202, $203, somewhere in there because of earnings. We'll cover that. I didn't dive into them yet. Take-Two Interactive, basically for every point Microsoft goes up, Take-Two goes down. But you've got $3 worth of a loss here today and a new fresh low getting extended. I don't know, how you feel about the falling knife thing, but if you like falling knives, you might like Verizon because that is the definition of a falling knife. That is not a rollover. That is not a weak stock that people are giving up on. That's what that is right there. Stock that's already down and then just rolls over. This is an immediate change of direction. That's a tough one to buy there, but it did make new lows, so I want to point that out. And you got a handful of financials, State Street being one of them, that made new lows, but it wasn't as big of a deal as it's been in the past couple days. And, well, you can see if I just kind of go like this and try to make it show up on the screen. So, yeah, today's range was very small. There wasn't a lot of sellers there. There were just enough to get it to new lows. So it's not really that scary, although the last month has been pretty scary for them. April's one of their worst months they've had in a while. If we go over to stocks in the news, you're going to have Microsoft beats on earnings by 3 cents, revenues beat by $300 million. That's not a lot of money. It was all good news. The only bad news was Microsoft Azure had slowing growth there. Revenues are basically flat there and on a handful of other areas as well. So it wasn't amazing, but it was a good enough report. Wall Street liked it. Needed a reason for something to move higher. Alphabet, misses on earnings by $1.14. Revenue was basically as expected. Operating margins come in at 30%, which was a slight beat. It was by like 124 basis points or 1.24%, so a slight beat there. The board, as I mentioned yesterday, they're going to buy back $70 billion worth of shares. The negative that I think everybody focused on, their cloud division, was quite a big miss there. I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but when I read that, I thought, uh-oh. Look at the big guys with their Amazon and Microsoft, their cloud division. Well, we don't know Amazon yet, but Microsoft reporting well. You don't want to see that over there. I think that's where the weakness was, or what caused it. Visa got a nice little beat here. Beat by 14 cents. Revenue is beat by $400 million. That's a lot for them. That's not a lot for Alphabet. That's a lot for Visa there. Payment volume up 17% year over year. Y'all are just swiping that card, man. Just getting in there, going for it. Cross-border volume, which is anything outside the United States, up 38%. So it's not all us. Everybody else is spending their dough too. Service revenue up 24%. Mainly interesting things. The dividend they raised by 37 cents. And overall profit 21% higher. Not 21%, up 21% because we are out there spending our dough. Stop it. Stop spending the dough. Hang on to your dough. General Motors up 1% on the day. Sales came in at $35.98 billion. That's a bit of a miss. Earnings per share came in at $2.09. That's a beat. They said their biggest growth opportunity is in electric trucks. That's a problem. It's probably why you didn't see the stock really take off today. It's a problem because Ford also sees the biggest opportunity in electric trucks, and they do it better than GM does. Ford is actually using their existing F-150 pipeline, assembly line, right? So they're taking the same seats, the same side panels, the same ceiling panels, the same dashboard. They're taking all the same stuff, and then basically as they get towards the end, electric, right? So they got the upper hand, whereas General Motors is saying, we're just going to have an electric assembly line, we're going to have a gas-powered assembly line. That's a lot more work, a lot more effort, a lot more lead time until you can actually get those things out. So I think that would be my frustration as to why I would lean Ford versus General Motors, even after General Motors says, we're going for it, man. We're going to be all in here, which they basically all said now because now they want to do it. Mattel may be selling themselves, actually. So Mattel, this came out a couple weeks ago, but then the Wall Street Journal came out today or last night and said they've been talking with various private equity firms to try to get themselves sold. That's interesting. So that whatever, if it was a rumor before, somewhere right after earnings in here, I believe, it's turned out to be true. Huge volume in that stock today, up 10% on that news. Do you think investors want them to sell or not? Crazy. Mondelez, by the way, selling the devil out of some Oreo cookies, man. If you didn't know, Mondelez, MDLZ is the ticker symbol. These guys make Oreos and a whole bunch of other stuff. Very nice. For the most part, very nice earnings there. And they see the growth continuing going forward as I check my notes there. I will take your questions if I can and try to help you out here today. Sometimes, like I said, we're financial advisors and we have clients on opposite ends of the spectrum. We have thousands of retirees and thousands of, I would call them kids, people my age or younger. I can't really relate to the retirees. I can plan for you. I've done it 1,000 times. I can tell you exactly what we need to do and what's best for you, so I love doing that. And then the kids, it's like, all right, well, you're kind of in growth mode. We want to make sure you're making everything of it. But every now and then someone asks me for advice that's not investment related. That actually came up today. I had a client that was young. He's 28 years old. He's married and everything. And we went through everything with him. And he goes, well, how about that? Give me some other advice, man. It doesn't have to be money advice. You're obviously a little older than me, and you've done well or whatever he was saying there. And he's, well, give me some life advice. And I said, well, people don't normally ask me for life advice. I'm more about the money myself. And he's like, well, what do I do? Like, give me some thoughts. And I don't know why I said this, but this proves how offbeat we are. I said, all right, well, I'll give you a hint. You're a married guy. A woman has never started a fight with a man who's cleaning a house. Huh? You like that? That is a fact. A wife will never start a fight with a man that's cleaning the house. That was my life advice to him. That's all I had. I don't know why that came to my mind, but I was like, okay, you're asking for it. I don't want to get you in trouble here, but we don't always need to talk about money around here. I'll help you with anything. All right, let's talk about some questions you have. Do we have XLU short? No, took profits on that one in our office trades. That one is gone. We hit our target. There's no need to stick around. That's what it is. I should have given him some life advice about the cookies, though. You know what I mean? Dim started the move his IRA to Jazz today. Welcome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for, I know it's been a while since we've been able to take new clients, and I hope you like what we have for you. The new dojo portal and everything where you can see everything. We're always updating that, but the bones of it are there, and we're excited to get ramped up again. Yeah, that was good advice, right? Oh, man. Yeah. And all the married men in here are like, well, that's true. That's true. She can yell at me, but man, when I'm cleaning that house, you just didn't put two and two together. So that's cool. Hey, I didn't give you the earnings for tomorrow. Caterpillar, Southwest Airlines, MasterCard, McDonald's, Altria, Merck, Northrop Grumman, Philip Morris, Apple, that'll be the big one, and Amazon. Gilead Sciences, Intel, WDC, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it, actually. Should you sell Facebook? Your cost average is $227 and buy it if it goes down again. Well, you're getting your move. Why you want to run away now? Giovanni, come on. You hung in there. It's trading at 205, right? The tide is changing. So now everyone who was waiting for a moment to buy, they're doing it after hours, right? It went from 200 to 205 while we were talking. So anybody that was looking to do anything, even if they were covering their short positions, that's happening right now. Let the tide change in your favor. Don't run away from it. It's going to go down and up and all that over the next few days, but let it go. This could be your moment. Yeah. Any advice on buying treasuries over the next 18 months or so? Well, so anytime somebody wants to do that, I want to focus on you first. Go, what are we doing? Why would we buy that? So if you're looking for rates to stabilize a little bit or pull back, as long as you're staying short term, that might make sense for you. I would wait until after May 4th, though, because the bond market's going to be a little wild on that day. Yep. Sorry, I missed. Oh, Ford says the CEO will catch up to Tesla. Can you expand on what he means? That's kind of what I was just saying a second ago, is that they feel like they can catch up to Tesla and even beat them because they make 1.5 million F-150s a year already, don't they? Like 1.3, 1.5, something like that. So their belief is that if we don't have to redo our entire assembly line and we can take what we have with all the other parts and still build the same vehicle but put an electric motor in there, we can crank these out faster and ramp up production a lot faster. I agree with that. That's actually quite smart. J Block, is Twitter worth buying at these levels? 54.20 to get the 50. Well, you're assuming. I get this question like the last few days. It's been nonstop. So remember yesterday I was saying, when has it worked out for you? Right? We were talking about did Bitcoin work out? Right? Did pot stocks work out? Did all that stuff work out? Did going all in on Tesla work out? Maybe it's working out at the moment. It's the same thing here. You would not have thought about buying Twitter if you didn't just put those two things in your head, right? Would you have bought Twitter anyways? Think of it that way. Not, hey, I'm going to buy it here. I'm going to hope that the deal goes through. There's no problems. Financing's all good. Let's hope that all that works out. And he'll have to buy me out for $54.20, and that the board, there's no changes in price, there's no adjustments. I think that's going to happen, right? Is that your thought process? And if that's your thought process, go for it. There's a million things that could happen between now and then. That's why the stock price hasn't pinged $54.20. Otherwise, typical deals, that's what would happen. It would just kind of ping right around that price. But we don't have an official deal yet. It's called a deal in principle. Yeah, Roku tomorrow as well, right? I don't know why. Well, they're not on my list because I have so many names on the list. The list only holds, I think, 20 names. So that would be that part there. But you're right. Any thoughts on Intel earnings? No? Haven't looked. Dr. Horton been with the... Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah, gotcha. Well, you guys change your names. You know what I mean? Woods Auto Sales. Now, see, that's a name. Market yourself a little bit while you're on here. You know what I mean? Hi, brand new here. Like your thoughts long term. I'm not sure. What's that mean? Long? Help me with that question. And welcome. What do you think of adding to AMAT 52-week low with chips beating and driving the parts there? So it's not my here. It's not my favorite semiconductor to try to buy a dip on for the short term. I'm not sure if this is you buying long term or not, so I'm guessing. But in the short term, go dig around, and I haven't looked too closely here, but if you look at, like, AMD is more extended relative to its history than something like AMAT. What was the other one? Was it MU? MU would be right. Nah, they're about tied. So they're about tied. Analog. No, so I'm going to say AMD was the one I was thinking of there. NXPI. I haven't looked at some of these oddball ones. No, it's not going to be the one. Microchip. We haven't been looking at it a while. I made new lows, but it's not more extended. So I may have to retract that comment there. Skyworks, I probably wouldn't mess with there because of Apple's earnings coming up. No, yeah, you got the right idea. So that one is one of the more extended stocks at the moment. Yeah. I do apologize there. So yeah, aim at for a short term, looking to see your thoughts are, if it bounces, and semiconductors do bounce, what's one that's more extended that might just be a little oversold anyways that people come and buy? If that's the thought, there you go. Yep. Don't recommend using your actual name on YouTube? Nah, come on. Come on. What are you scared of? Virgin Galactic to the moon. That's funny. That's funny. They haven't done anything in a while. Well. Oh, LAC is the ticker symbol. I see what you're saying. I misread that. So let's go over how. There you go. So I get the idea of wanting to be in this space. So there's two thoughts of you want to buy something. First is, yes, I'm interested, but am I interested now? When am I interested? So they always say technical traders, they focus on when they should buy. Fundamental investors focus on why they should buy. So you might want to buy them because you like the fundamental backdrop of this. But technically, is it time to buy? Ask yourself, has anybody else tried to buy here? Yeah, a couple people. You had a little day in there, you had a little day in here, but they didn't win. Buyers haven't won yet. And so as somebody, maybe you put this on a watch list, you say, I want to see some people win for a little bit, and then I'll join them. You don't have to get the best possible price. Yeah. Sure, Richard. Sure. He says, that is my real name. We're going to comment Disney's not a good single stock investment from 19 but sometimes just buying the well, for Disney in particular? Is that what you're saying? Had you have picked one? Yeah. I mean, just the pure volatility of it, I would think would throw off the annualized returns, you know, if you were to look at it that way. We could do that at some point. I have a lot of stuff open. I do not have that open where I could do that, but that's an easy one to look. Yeah. All right. Well, guess who's got to go back to work, right? And helping people get their dough straight. Or what's the guy say? What has two thumbs and wants to help you get your dough straight? This guy. I should be a bartender. I'm just full of them today, right? All kinds of advice. Anyways, thank you for watching and hanging out with us. I will leave here now. I've given you all I have today. Appreciate you guys checking us out. And if you're interested and want to check us out at jazzwealth.com, oh, funny little secret. You could also go to doughstraight.com and it will take you to our site. DOHSTR8. Huh? Full of all kinds of stuff. All right. See you later.